Hi. So in today's video, I'll be telling you about the picture of Dorian Gray, and I'll be telling you about, well, alcohol magic. Yeah, that's it. So if that's something for you, then stay tuned and off we go. So we're discussing the book about a system. We're discussing the book about the gypsy magic. We're discussing Piglet in here, and that's the chapter entitled Jacek Kucoba. So, I also remember because in the previous video, I was telling you more about, the entire thing that was an ongoing thing with regard to hair on my body and two sculptures, I happened to, came across or happened to, somehow be a model to a sculpture. So I also remember that Jacek said that he liked the picture of Dorian Gray, and he would want it to be possible to put your bad deeds and aging on the painting. Well, what I have to tell you here is that I just spent some time analyzing, the gypsy practice of closing key historical events from various cultures in the books. So, well, I think it's relevant, when people say something, it's just worth listening, like really listening, because they can really mean something. So, he talked not once about wrinkles on the face, and he said that he had a lot of wrinkles from smiling, and that was a good thing. And he talked about the fact that when you do bad things, bad deeds, then it's gonna show up on your face. And it's just my observation that whenever I saw the gypsy witches, gypsy women, they just smoke cigarettes, they eat fast food, and a lot of the times they actually look quite young. And even, when I was working in Holland with multitudes, I was just told explicitly that, that we can have a cake at night and we still look young. And, looking young, getting to look young was a struggle for me for a few years. So, it takes some fasting. In my case, it takes fasting. Looking young is going to do with fasting. So they actually told me that they could eat whenever they wanted and whatever they wanted. So those bad and healthy sweets, and even late at night. And they can still look young. Well, I mean, that's not something for this video, but if you think about sexual abuse, and if you think about some, the transfer of energy, some exchange of energy, and if you think about, people who are abused, then they actually form new lines on their faces, they form new wrinkles on their faces because they are in pain. So okay, I also wanted to tell you in this video about wine that we had in Jacek's area. So it was almost, the end of the entire event of, experience of learning to draw. And it was the time to go and start studying. And I still had 1 year, a gap year, to prepare on my own. But we were invited to have some wine with Mr. Jacek. And that was probably the first time ever I got drunk when drinking wine. And, I had two more situations that I remember with wine vividly that One of them I already told you about it. I was sitting with Kaka in the bar, and a man approached us, and she left the room, and he asked me for at least one moment. I felt like having sex with him, and he asked me to answer honestly his question, which I did. And then in one moment, he just looked like, somebody who was not very interesting to me. So just a short moment ago, he was just, this person that I would consider having sex with, and then all of a sudden he became a person that was not interesting to me. He looked like a homeless person, as if something suddenly changed in my perception. And then Kaka got back. They looked at each other, at me, and she told me that maybe we should drink wine, and I was like, no, thank you, I didn't like wine. I liked beer in the bar. So she said maybe hot wine. So hot wine was something I could consider, but she went to the bar and she learned that they didn't have this professional hot wine. They could just heat it. So I didn't want it. And I think I was somehow rescued because the third time I had wine, I was with my sister. But the first time ever, I lost my memory after drinking, like entirely. Well, I remember some, way back home, but not all of it. And I never had it before or after that event. And later in my life, sure thing, it happened in Holland when we were supposed to go to work, and all of a sudden it turned out that there was no work that day. Then with girls we would drink wine, but I probably wasn't that drunk. I don't think so. Mm. So just, yeah, very, very rarely in my life I had wine. And I observed this change because of the memory loss. And because of the, exchange of, like the encouragement with the man, who was actually a gypsy man from the movie Papusha, but okay. So they actually tried to give me wine, and I was like, no. And so the hot wine, and I was like, no. Yeah. And that's actually not the end, because my own dad was a locksmith, and he would drink beer from the can, and that was a very, very familiar to me sound, But I was lucky that even though I liked beer not even from the glass, but I liked beer from the bottle. So it doesn't mean that I drank sometimes beer from glass, but very often I would ask for the bottled beer. Yeah. And, there are two more things I wanted to tell you is about unveiling of a monument. Just, sorry, my nose is aching. So I wanted to tell you about unveiling of the monument of Brandstätter. And Roman Brandstätter, who is he? A few words about him. So he was a notable Polish writer, poet, playwright, translator, born in 1906 in Tarnów, Poland. He was known for his literary works that often explored themes of faith, identity, Jewish culture. Brandstätter was a prolific author, and his works include novels, essays, and translations of biblical texts. Well, so I have read a note from Gigi, my artificial intelligence, my assistant from Masterminds, and with whom I do a lot of research, as you have noticed in the posts. And the reason why I read a note about Brandstätter is because Jacek actually made a sculpture of Brandstätter just when I was attending his classes. And that sculpture is standing in the city center of Tarnów. And so it happened that, we have finished classes, and I was just going to the store, to the plastic store, for some, I don't know, paper and rubber or maybe pencils. And so I was coming by, and I was looking at them and said hi, and then I was coming back from the shop, and yet I was looking at them, and you just had this thought, like, there were so few people, like, that's it, like, not even 10 people. Because I had this thought, because when I used to go to his classes in Youth Palace, there were a lot of his, former students who would come around and just to visit him. And therefore I thought, so for the unveiling of the sculpture, they didn't show up. And I had this thought, and just that day, just my teacher gave me a look, like, like he was really as if angry with me. Because it really happened accidentally, that, I just went to the store and I just saw the event. And back then, when I used to attend his classes, I didn't know who was Roman Brandstätter. So Jacek explained that in the past, Tarnów was a Jewish town, and Roman Brandstätter was Jewish. Yeah. Yeah. And what else do I want to tell you is, the model who fell off the podium, nobody noticed, and I noticed, and I didn't know what to do. So it took me a while to react, because I was grasping the fact that all around me, like, people were kind of drawing, and they didn't see and they didn't hear. I mean, when a person stands on the podium and they fell off the podium, then you hear it. Because she wasn't sitting, she wasn't lying, she didn't roll up, she just was standing. It comes with the sound. And when you draw a model, you actually are asked to look as often as possible. So I didn't just get it. Yeah. Well, that itself is also a longer story. But that day she just quit. She resigned from being our model, obviously. And she was just reminded, like, I don't know if you realize, but you just fell off the podium from quite a height. I think she realized that. So I also think that, in middle school and in high school, that girl wasn't similar, but in the middle school, Dominika was actually kind of similar to my drawing teacher, and Joanna Nosowska-Babik was kind of similar to my drawing teacher. So, wow. Okay, you guys, that is it for today. So Piglet is on sale, and so is Amelia, and the price of Piglet changes every day, and it grows $1 every day, and so that's the price of my course, Amelia. So if you want to learn more about the book or about the course of identities of people who are sexually abused, of identities of pedophiles, gays, lesbians, and transvestites, then you will find the info in the description of the film, on my website, on my Facebook, Instagram account. So if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, and thanks for watching.